Well, hello and welcome to my latest video. If you saw my last video, you might know that I bought a Brompton. How could you not know that I bought a Brompton? And I did a video about 8 reasons why I bought a Brompton and why you should consider buying a Brompton, but in the best interests of balance, as they say, and pace. My good friend Boris Johnson with his pros and cons of Brexit, I thought I'd do a video to say 8, 9, maybe even 10 reasons why you shouldn't buy a Brompton. So let's get into it. Yes, I am sitting on my Brompton, by the way. I know it looks like a chopper, and I quite like it like this, actually. It's a sort of Harley Davidson Brompton, if you can imagine such a thing. Well, the first reason why you shouldn't get a Brompton is because it's foldable. Well, yeah, it's foldable. I mean, so what? So what? It's foldable. I mean, how many times do you think I know? I mean, you're sitting in the evening, you're watching TV, and you think, I know. No, I wish I had a bike that folds up. Or, you know, when you wake up, if you're like my age, and you wake up about 3:30 in the morning, and you kind of lie there contemplating your future and the universe and so forth. I don't often lie there and think to myself, oh, you know, I really wish I had a bike that folds up. I mean, so it folds up, so what? Where are you going to go with it? You're not going to go anywhere with it. If it's a bike, you want to ride it. You don't want to fold it up, put it on a train. Who puts it on a train? Nobody puts it on a train. Bikes are for riding, not for folding up. They're not a bit of origami. They're not a thing that you fold up, bikes. They're just bikes. I'll tell you another reason why you don't want a Brompton. It is heavy as shit, right? It is. They give you the weight in kilograms because that makes it sound lighter, right? But the weight is actually about 25 pounds. 25 or 26 pounds is the weight of a standard Brompton. That is the weight of a medium-sized seal. So if you can imagine, I mean, it's quite a long-winded metaphor this, right? But you go to Greenland, right? And you club a seal and you pick it up and you put it on your shoulders. Now, if you imagine that seal has got a couple of wheels, fold-up pedal, brakes, you know, a bell that doesn't really work very well, then that is the weight of the Brompton. It is heavy as shit. They say, oh, well, you can fold it up and you can carry it. No, you can't, right? You can carry it for about 6 feet. Right, if you really want to fold it up and put it on a train, you can carry it enough to get it off the train. That's all. You can carry it enough to get it on the train. You can maybe go up 3 steps. You don't want to go up 4 steps. And if you're like me, right, pushing 66 and not too strong in the old arms, you know, the thing is heavier than a bastard. It really is. You don't want a Brompton. The other thing they say about a Brompton is that it's small. You know, it folds up really small and like, no, it isn't. It's not. It's actually quite big. You think it's small, right? Because if you compare it with, you know, a standard road bike, yeah, it's smaller than a standard road bike. You fold it up and it's smaller. It's still heavier than a bastard, but it's not actually that small. You think, oh, well, I'll carry it up. You know, that's a small bike, right? That's a little, you know, it's a model bike. But a Brompton, small, light, no, forget it. Forget it. It ain't. It is. It's actually quite big, you know. And they say you can fit it under a desk. Well, what? Maybe you can fit it under your desk. You can fit it under a bed. Well, you can fit it under my bed. You can put it in your car. Well, yeah, you can put it in your car, but, you know, it's going to take up a lot of room in the boot. It's also not very comfortable, right? It's got these tiddly wheels, right? And it's difficult to get the seat to the right height. I certainly found it difficult. I had to get a telescopic seat post, which kind of lifted me right up there. Not down here where I am now, because I'm pretending I'm on a Harley Davidson or a chopper like one of those old geezers wearing black leather jackets with a skull on the back, and they think they're Hell's Angels. I mean, I think I'm like that, but I'm on a Brompton with the seat right down. So it's not actually that comfortable. And if you're on rough surfaces and potholes and stuff like that, you're bouncing around all the time. And yeah, they say it's got this suspension block, and it has got a suspension block, but it doesn't really make that much difference. And there's no suspension at the front. So actually it's not. And if you ride it for any distance, right, it's quite hard on your palms. Now, okay, I can get these kind of ergonomic grips. I'm trying to get these ergonomic grips instead of the money that I waste on these book scripts, because after a while, you go over 30 or 40 miles, it really hurts your palms. They start to go to sleep. So it's not that comfortable. I'll tell you another reason why you shouldn't get a Brompton. It is expensive. Jesus Christ. I mean, your standard Brompton, right, you can get it for about, I don't know, 900 quid, something like that. But if you want to get one with a couple of gears and maybe a rack, something like that, it's going to cost you, I don't know, 1,400 quid, 1,500 quid, something like that. That is a lot of money. Right, that is a lot of money for a really heavy bike that doesn't fold up that small, that's actually not very comfortable. So, you know, it's not cheap. Now, and they say, oh, it holds its value really well. Well, of course it holds its value. Nobody else is going to afford a fucking new one. So they buy one, the second hand, that's a little bit cheaper than the new one. It's the only way they can buy one. So, yeah, it's too expensive, because it's made in Britain. Oh yeah, you know, I'm really glad about that. Let's make things in Britain that are too expensive. Nobody can afford to buy them. So it ain't. You can get a pretty decent Boardman, frankly. You can go to Halfords. You get a pretty decent Boardman, probably in carbon for under £1,000. Whereas this thing, you know, it weighs 25 pounds. It's the size of a small seal with a couple of wheels and a pedal, and it's, you know, it doesn't fold up that small. So. The other thing is, of course, if you're going to have a Brompton, you've got to have a laptop, right? And you've got to have an Apple laptop, which is a MacBook. And really, you've got to have a MacBook Air. Well, you want a decent MacBook Air, that's going to cost you about 1,900 quid, even more, would you believe, than a Brompton, because you can't go into one of these coffee shops. You know these coffee shops you go into, right? You've got your fold-up Brompton under one arm. That's if you can carry the bloody thing. Under the other arm, you've got your MacBook Air, okay, which is 1,900 quid worth of watts, so you can watch stuff on YouTube, for Christ's sakes. And you sit down in a cafe. Well, I can't go in a cafe, right, with my Brompton, because I haven't got a laptop. Right, I went to this really, you know, one of these really posh poncy cafes like that you've got on the South Bank in London, right? You go in there with your Brompton. The guy stopped me at the door. He said, "Oi, where are you going?" I said, "Well, I thought, you know, I'd sit down, have a cup of coffee, and I'm a graphic designer." And he was kind of looking at me like that. You know, he was kind of looking all around. I wasn't carrying a bag or anything. He said, "Where's your laptop?" I said, "I haven't got a laptop." He said, "Well, you're a graphic designer. You haven't got a laptop." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I've got a laptop. You know, I've got an old Dell." He said, "Dell? You're having a laugh, mate. You're not coming here with a Dell. Not Adele, the singer, but Adele. You know, the brand of laptop." He said, "You ain't coming in here with a Dell. Not the singer, but the brand of laptop." He said, "You know, you come in here, right? Get a flat white, right? You can get a flat white mochaccino with, you know." Oat milk, or is it barley milk, or is it wheat milk? I don't know, it's a fucking milk that doesn't come from an animal anyway. He said, "You ain't coming in here without a laptop." I said, "I haven't got a laptop." He said, "Well, go somewhere else and go to McDonald's." I said, "I can't go to McDonald's with a bloody Brompton." He said, "Why not? You look like sort of bloke who go to McDonald's." So I sod you, mate. So I didn't go in. I haven't got a laptop, right? No laptop, no Brompton. Forget it. Can't do it. 3 gears. 3 gears. Are you having a laugh? Sturmy Archer gears. When was the last time you saw Sturmy Archer gears? I mean, I'm 65 now. I was about 9. Right, 9 years old, you get your first bike, and it's got these poxy little Sturmy Archer gears on the front, you know, with there's this silly thing like that, and you've got to stop pedalling in order to change gear. Well, you try going up a steep hill, right? You try going up a steep hill, and you've got to stop pedalling in order to change gear. How are you supposed to do that? I mean, you can't do it. And it weighs, I mean, half the weight of the bike is in that bloody Sturmy Archer gear. 3 gears. I'm having a laugh. I mean, this gear, not this gear, this bike, right, my Brompton, has got 6 gears. But it hasn't really. What it's got is a 3-speed Sturmy Archer, and it's got 2 cogs at the back. So 3 times 2 is 6. They've got 6 gears. Well, I suppose it is 6 gears, really, but it might just, well, be 3, if you ask me. It's not enough. And rim brakes. Save the rim brakes, save the fucking wing brakes, save, you know, spare me, save the rim brake. What about Brompton? Disc brakes. Right, so I'll let you into a secret. All my bikes, except this Brompton, of course, have got disc brakes. Why? Because disc brakes are better. And when they first came in on road bikes, it was, oh, it doesn't look nice, right? It doesn't look like a proper bike. Now, you see a bike with wind brakes, you think, well, it looks a bit weird, because you're so used to seeing a bike with disc brakes, because they're better, they stop better. You know, why do you need brakes that stop better? You're on a Brompton, mate, you're not going fast enough. Well, you know, the brakes on a Brompton are rubbish, right? So why can't you have disc brakes? Why can't you have decent derailleur gears? Why do you have to have a Sturmy Archer and epoxy rim brakes? They're not even Shimano, for Christ's sake. They're not even, who else does it make rim brakes? SRAM, they're not SRAM. Campag, they're certainly not Campag. The Brompton's own design of a rim brake. I mean, you don't lie in bed in the middle of the night thinking, you know what I really want? I want a set of Brompton rim brakes that's going to make my life better. No, it's not. Cycle paths. So you get a Brompton because you want to ride on cycle paths. No, you don't. You don't want to ride on cycle paths. I tell you what's on cycle paths, right? Prams, pushchairs, strollers. I saw somebody on a cycle path the other day, right? Had like a 3-baby stroller. A 3-baby stroller. Can you imagine? You need a fucking 6-lane motorway to get one of those things on. So there's somebody pushing one of them along, and they've usually got a dog, because all these people who've got strollers, they've got dogs, right? So of course the paths are covered in dog shit, or they're covered in the remains of dog shit. You know if you've got a dog and it's shit, so you've got to clean it up. So you put one of those plastic bags on, right, and you try and scoop it up. Well, it leaves a stain, doesn't it? So you're walking along, or you're cycling along on your Brompton, and you look down, all you can see is these little brown stains. Every 2 feet, every 6 inches, there's this epoxy brown stain, and you know what that is? It's dog shit left behind by a bag. And old people, walkers, ramblers, right? Because they always go on those dual use cycle paths and footpaths, the kind of thing. So there's about 4 of them walking side by side, and of course they're all deaf as posts. They're all carrying those sticks. So I mean, the Brompton, listen to this, right? Can you hear that? Can you hear that? Can you hear that? I mean, you can't bloody hear that. I was going along a cycle path the other day, right? I was going up to London or something like that. So I don't know how this works. I was going up to London like that, and I came up behind a group of about, I don't know, 40 or 50 ramblers, with those, with like those silly Rohan trousers and backpacks and sticks and hats on their head and scarves around their necks and a map and a plastic bag around their neck, all that kind of stuff. You come up behind them, and I'm going like that, and of course they can't hear epoxy thing. I was like, get out of the fucking way. And they said, why don't you get a bell? I said, I've got a bell. But the bell on the Brompton is rubbish. Like, absolute rubbish. I mean, you pay 1,500 quid for a bike and they give you a bell like that. And they're having a laugh. They're having a laugh. But it's a design classic. Who wants a design classic that was designed in 1981? Right. Now, okay, the basic, I'll give you this, right? I'll give you this for nothing. The basic design of the Brompton is good, right? The fold up of the design of the Brompton is good. It's very clever, right? But they've still got the same brakes they had in 1981. They've still got the same Sturmy Archer gears they had in 1981. They've still got the same wheels they had in 1981. They've still got the same tyres they had in 1981. They've still got the same pedals they had in 1981. They've moved forward, right? Nothing's changed. Nothing's got better. There's been no improvement. You see, now this is the thing about a design classic that gets me, right? A design classic is something you don't have to make any better. But, that's not true. The Brompton could be so much better. It could be you could put disc brakes on it. You could put, 9-speed, 10-speed, 10-speed saw on it, for Christ's sake. Shimano saw, the cheapest gear. Claris they make, cheapest gear they make. Why don't you put some decent gears on it, put some decent brakes up, put a set of Campag. Now, if you could get a Brompton with Campag, right, pardon me, if you could get a Brompton with Campag, I'd pay good money for that. I paid good money for this, and I didn't get Campag. But you get a nice set of carbon wheels. Can you imagine that? Why don't Brompton make carbon wheels? Right? They're making enough bikes. What's wrong with making a set of carbon wheels? What's wrong with making titanium handlebars? Why don't they do that? Why don't they do any of the aftermarket stuff that all these companies in China and Taiwan and Singapore and Indonesia and Malaysia, there's hundreds of these companies making all this aftermarket stuff for the Brompton. Well, why don't Brompton do that? Why don't they say, look, we want that market. Right, we're going to make you a nice set of titanium handlebars. Okay, we're going to make you a set of carbon wheels. Then we're going to make you a decent set of disc brakes, right? Brompton's own design of disc brakes so you can stop decently. Okay, why don't they make the titanium seat post? All right, you can't get a Brompton titanium seat post. You've got to go to an aftermarket place, right? Why don't they do all that stuff and make a decent bike they could charge a shitload of money for? Well, they charge a shitload of money for it at the moment, but it's not the greatest bike in the world. So, I mean, I've got one. I love it. You ought to get one. But should you get one? Somebody left a comment on my last video saying I was thinking of getting a Brompton, then I was thinking of not getting a Brompton. Now you've made me think about getting a Brompton. And I said, wait till you watch the next video, mate, because you'll decide you don't want a Brompton after all. So What do you want? Do you want a Brompton? I want a decent bike. Actually, a time eyes on. I'm thinking of selling my Brompton so I could get a time eyes on, made in France, handmade, resin transfer modulation or whatever it's called. A time, yeah, I'd love a time. In the meantime, I'm stuck with a Brompton. Thanks for watching. See you next time.